It's a new day for hope, healing, and happiness with Natasha J. Rosewood.
All right. Welcome, everyone. And we are here at It's a New Day for Hope, Healing, and Happiness. I am not Natasha today. I am Tamara McLellan. I'm an ancestral astrologer here in Kelowna, and I'm filling in for Natasha, who is in Mexico visiting her favorite children's charity, Por los Niños, and getting in some sunshine, which we are missing up here. So we are so happy for her to get that little break. And tonight, what I'm going to go through is a little bit about astrology, a little bit about these eclipses that are coming, and I'm going to give you some homework so you can figure out a little bit more about your soul purpose. So we're going to start today with a little tiny astronomy lesson about the eclipses, okay? This spring, we are going to be having a full moon lunar eclipse in Libra and a total solar eclipse in Aries, April 8th. And eclipses, if we just think about them from an astronomical level, they are these moments where there is a shadow that is projected by the Earth that the moon will move through. And there is also this moment where the moon moves in front of the sun and blocks that solar light. Okay, so this occurs about every 6 months. It's not always going to occur every new moon and full moon. It occurs when those planets, when those planetary celestial objects come together by declination. So they're together on the latitude as well as longitude in the sky. And this new moon energy, when the sun and moon come together and the moon moves in front of the sun, it blocks the sun's lights from the Earth during the day. And it can happen in a way that might shift some things. There's certain plants that might, bloom or close or get confused because of this energy. There's animals, someone told me the other day that during a solar eclipse, cows will actually all lie down as if it's evening. And there is that essence of confusion that happens. So eclipses can bring on this dramatic shift. A lunar eclipse is when the moon is actually perceived to be moving through the Earth's shadows. The Earth is between the sun and the moon because a full moon is always when the sun and the moon are across from each other. And so thinking of that as well, the celestial light, the luminary at night moving through a shadow. It's when things get mysterious, right? There's many, many songs and folklore about what happens in a lunar eclipse energy. To the ancients, if we really think about these times, these people who lived more outside, where they were reliant on the sun for all the light of what they were doing, if the light was to leave in the middle of the day, it was considered an eerie event, an ominous event. There would be moments where the birds got quiet. Everything went still. And so what happens to the psychology of a human or a plant or an animal when it gets dark like that, when our light leaves us? The ancients believed that eclipses were to be revered, perhaps feared. They believed that this was a time where new beginnings would come in and endings would be ushered out. And we can still apply that to our lives today. There is still this energy and essence to these eclipses where I feel like this should be taught in school, to know that during these periods of time, there could be things that are happening that feel faded, that feel like they are wild, where people are mystified by what's happening, just like we would be mystified if our sun's light goes away. Okay, what happens to that psyche when that light is removed? So where the eclipses were happening when you were in your mother's tummy, okay, so prenatal eclipses, or when you were very first born, really matter for you as the individual. So your homework will be to just simply go and Google, where were the eclipses the year I was born? You can just Google, solar eclipse, and then whatever the year is, 1985, wherever it is. And you'll most likely be able to see where the nodes were. The nodes are those points on the ecliptic plane where the sun and the moon collide. They tell us a lot about our spirit. This is more about the soul's evolution. So the north node is a place on the chart where we are moving towards something, where we are being asked to create a path towards something that we might not really know yet. And our south node, the point of the south node in the sky, is where we are asked to release or let go or integrate something. So this was one of my favorite things that I learned about astrology. As soon as I found out that my north node was in Taurus, a sign that I don't know a lot about, but I moved to Kelowna, which has a ton of Taurus energy, we find that we're drawn to places, people, things that are encouraging us towards our soul path. So I'm going to go through a really quick roundup of the eclipses for you. And I'm going to do this in their sister signs. Sister signs are signs that are across the zodiac from each other, across the sky from each other. So there are these groups of sister signs, 6 of them, so that they make a whole zodiac of 12. And no matter where your north node is, no matter what sign it's in, the south node's always going to be in the exact opposite position. Okay? It's like the North Pole, South Pole. They're always going to be opposite. So if you Google that about your own eclipses, say, where were the nodes in 1985 or whenever you were born, and you find out that your North Node and South Node were in Aries and Libra. Okay, Aries and Libra means that you're here on a soul level to develop more of your understanding of yourself, Aries, and your relationships, Libra. There might be this energy of autonomy and agency, independence, action, drive. With Libra, there is an energy of diplomacy, harmony, balance, cooperation. So these themes are going to come up in a dramatic way. And that's where the eclipses are happening this spring. So we're all being asked to learn those lessons. And I'll go more into that in a few moments. If your nodes were in Taurus and Scorpio, okay, these are more of financial signs. They indicate that we're here to learn more about our financial empowerment, our material life. Taurus is the sign of the material. So we're here to learn about actual physical elements of the earth. In Scorpio, we're here to learn about our intuitive empowerment, our emotional empowerment. And you might be learning about intimacy, intuition. You know, Scorpio is a very mystical, magical sign. If your nodes are in Gemini and Sagittarius, these are the 2 sister signs that are about knowledge, information, wisdom, exploration. There is a curiosity in your soul. You are here to learn something or to teach something or to travel somewhere. You're here to learn about how other people live, to be curious. During the time of the pandemic, the nodes were in Gemini and Sagittarius, and we were all being asked to research, to learn. We were actually being asked to reduce our travel because the South Node was in Sagittarius, which is about travel. We were being asked to reduce that, go home, and to learn, to ask questions, to try to understand what was happening. So that's a little example of those nodes. If your nodes are in Cancer and Capricorn, these are the ancestral signs. They're deeply about family, who we are with family. They're also about our existence in the world, our achievement, our success, and the relation between the two. If your nodes are in Leo and Aquarius, these are about your innovation, your creativity, your passion. You know, if your North Node is in Leo, this is what we see a lot with royals, with people who are really meant to shine, you know, celebrities, people who are like really in the limelight. Right now, the moon is in Leo. Here I am on TV. It's like we really have to bring our passionate self to whatever it is we're doing. If your North Node's in Aquarius, though, you're here to support one another, to really bring who you are to the group and know that that uniqueness that lives in you is going to be helpful in some way. Finally, if your nodes are in Virgo and Pisces, this is a very sensitive healing axis. Okay, so if you have your North Node or South Node in Virgo or Pisces, you're here to be a healer. You're here to be sensitive to the world around you, to uncover your ability to turn that mystical magic into something real. We see this a lot with poets, artists, musicians. You know, there's a service piece that lives with Virgo and Pisces. So you are here to serve in some way. So that is a little piece about your soul snapshot. Now, this spring, we are having eclipses. We have them about every 6 months. I really desire for everyone to know about these time periods. They come in sets of 2 or 3. Sometimes they can even be more. And when the eclipses come, it's almost like things sort of go into this little moment of chaos. They are where if there's a storyline building in your life, the eclipse can bring the surge of energy that crescendos the story. And if there is something that is getting ready to leave your life, this might be a time when that leaves. If you are paying attention and not getting too dramatically into what is happening, but able to sort of witness what is happening, these can be incredible times to change your life, to empower yourself, to move towards something that feels better and more aligned for your life. So as I said, March 25th of this year, we're having a full moon lunar eclipse in the sign of Libra at 6 degrees of Libra. And we've already had a few eclipses in this series. Okay, so we have every 18 months to 2 years, we have sets of eclipses that come in waves in a certain part of your chart. And my sister and I have been running eclipse support groups. We call it Eclipsed. And we, for those 3-week time periods, we send you a voice note every morning saying, here's what's happening. And we've noticed these storylines build with each one. So you could go back to October 14th of 2023. That was also an eclipse in Libra. And you can go forward to October 2nd of this year. We're going to have our final eclipse in Libra. And you'll note these storylines tend to play out. Okay. And then April 8th, we're having a total solar eclipse. It's being called the Great American Solar Eclipse because it will be visible throughout America and Eastern Canada. So from about Montreal east. And where an eclipse path goes over is usually where more physical events can happen. I'm actually not an astrologer that would tell you to go out and get those special goggles and like look at it. I would just say like close the blinds, sit at home, eat popcorn, look at the news and kind of marvel at the mysteries of life. But if you are interested, you will be able to see it from America and Eastern Canada. Now this total solar eclipse is coming through Texas up through the middle of America to, mid Canada and the East. And so this tells me that we right now have a storyline building in Texas and that this might bring some of those events to a head. Now, 2 days after the solar eclipse, we also have two of the most powerful warrior planets of the sky coming together in Pisces, which is immense water, which is oceanic energy, mysticism, spirituality. I think it might be a time that tests our faith. You can ramp up your spiritual practices right now, meditating every day, going for a walk in nature, finding that thing that makes you trust in the flow of life. That would be a great way to sort of prepare for it. But also Aries energy is about initiating something in your life, being brave, making it happen, leaving a little bit of the Libra tendency of codependence or people pleasing behind. So I really want this spring to be so empowering for you. And I'm going to go through your rising signs and just give you a snapshot of what energy this might bring in or where it might play out in your life. Okay. Now, if you're an Aries rising, and I speak about rising signs, that is what was coming up over the Eastern horizon when you took your first breath in this world. We do need your birth time to get it. It's about every 2 hours, 2.5 hours, that will shift. If you don't know your rising sign, you can always listen for your sun sign. But then also, I would encourage you. I have lots of clients who find out their birth times through calling the hospital or doing different things, asking for your birth time, show me my time. There's many different ways to sort of go about it. But when an astrologer is giving a horoscope, the horoscopus is the first house. It's that ascendant moment. And that's considered the helm of your ship. It helps us to see where in the sky other events were playing out for you. So that's why if you're reading a horoscope column and you're like, I don't really resonate with my sun sign, it could be because, that's not the astrologer is writing for your rising sign. Okay. So for the Aries risings and the Libra risings, because again, we're doing this in sister signs, these eclipses are happening in your 1st and 7th houses. These will bring changes in relationships. Just by very nature, Aries and Libra are signs about how we connect, how we come to one another. Libra also has roots in diplomacy. So we may see that there are elements where peace talks might occur. There could be world events that are happening where a ceasefire is called. There could also be, though, a ramp up towards the more Aries energy, which is taking what you need. And we want to be in the light side of these signs. So the frequency of helping one another, we want to be direct with one another. Being clear is being kind. And so we're being asked to release some of the Libra shadow of codependency, people pleasing, especially for Libra risings. Now, if you're a Taurus or a Scorpio rising, these eclipses are happening in your 6th and 12th houses. Those are about health. They're about chronic health. They're about acute health, what you're doing every day and how that feeds your overall health. So getting more sleep, allowing yourself to move your energy, going for walks, being in nature, that's all Taurus energy. And allowing yourself to really open to spirit, to something bigger, to allow yourself to dream during those times. Your dreams might be on fire during the eclipse portal, which is between March 25th and April 8th. So pay attention to your dreams. You might also change your work as well. There is endings and beginnings related to your work life or coworkers. You might notice a lot of your coworkers leaving or things are happening. I think we might see a huge wave of entrepreneurial pursuits that are happening specifically with Taurus, Scorpio risings. Gemini, Sagittarius risings. So the curious ones, the informational ones, you guys have a little bit of an easier place where these eclipses are falling. They're in your 5th and 11th houses. These are the houses of pleasure, play, fun, romance, children. This could bring on pregnancies or announcements that you're seeing within this group. It's also in the house that revolves around the community. So your groups might be changing. The associations that you have around you might be shifting. So there's endings and beginnings within your groups. Cancer and Capricorn risings. So this is a big one for you guys because you're squaring, Aries and Libra. Aries and Cancer and Capricorn and Libra, you're all in this cross. It's called a cardinal cross together. So these are going to be big for you around home and family. You might have endings and beginnings around where you live, your home. This is a moment to be checking up on the house, the foundation of the house. It could also be that this is a start for you in a career. Your public reputation is getting a boon of energy, especially for Cancer risings. So it would be a good time to decide and see where's my home life, home work balance, and where do I want it to be? And how can I make sure that I am taking the steps towards what I know in my heart to be true, which is what an Aries really does. Okay? Leo and Aquarius risings, it's happening for you in houses that are more related to information and travel. Great time to take a course. Great time to study something. You probably will be the ones that are traveling during this time. Travel during eclipses is always fun. Just relax and enjoy the ride. And if you have been wondering, should I start that new line of study? Should I study astrology? Should I study something else? It's a good time to jump into that. The other thing is how you express yourself to the world, your voice. You might want to write something. You might be like, I have a message to give the world. Well, eclipse season might allow you to really usher that into the world. So thinking a lot about how you learn, how you teach, how you speak, really important. And finally, Virgo and Pisces risings. So if you know that you're one of these two rising signs, these are going to be happening in your financial houses, the 2nd and the 8th house. This might bring out a new talent that you didn't know that you had. There's a new way of deriving your value in the world. There's a new way of tying in meaning to what it is that you're doing and how you're charging for it. Good time to advocate for a raise for yourself. Good time to start charging a little bit more what you feel you're worth, and really advocating for that. Virgo and Pisces want to serve. So they might not be as outward with their money story. But this is a time where, especially for Pisces, it's time to put who you are out into the world. And this might also bring in a new way of sharing resources with others. There might be intimate, relations that are coming up where you're moving in with someone or you're getting roommates into your home and you have to share and figure out time and money and energy. So it could be somewhat vulnerable, allowing yourself to always come from your heart for all of these changes that are coming. If you are aligned with who you know in your gut that you are, Aries is who you know you are, then this could be a very magical time. And I want you to let us know in May what comes. And I will say the month of April is sort of this crescendo of change, chaotic, a little, it's really driving us places we didn't think we were going to go. But then come May, we have some beautiful Taurus grounding energy. We have a full moon on May 23rd that is so beautiful. I can't even tell you. So dream big. You have big wishes. This is the year to make them happen. So, do we have any questions?
So maybe a couple. First question being, you mentioned the portal is open from March 25th or 26th till April 8th?
It is, yeah. And a little bit more than that even.
I was going to say, so how long is the effect that you might expect?
Thank you for that. Yeah. So we usually see that there's many different ways that sort of portal of eclipse is open. It can be on the new moon preceding that full moon lunar eclipse. So 2 weeks before March 25th, you might start to notice this building of energy. And again, like I said, if you think of the ancients, eclipse energy can be a little weird, right? So it's just like all of a sudden things are going a little haywire. There's a little like glitchy stuff happening. Start noticing it about 2 weeks before that March 25th. And then the actual impact of the eclipse, it doesn't always fall right on that day. So I don't want you to think if you have a birthday on April 8th or anything, that this is like going to be such a big dramatic day. It could be, it's not until some of the other planets come and trigger different events. And it usually takes about 90 days. So if you fast forward from April to May to June to July, that's when you're actually going to see the events transpire. And if you plant a seed with an eclipse, it's sort of like giving it this extra raw drive and boost. So if you want to make something happen in July, plant it in April.
All right. And then the other question was just around, you'd mentioned the eclipse and its possible effects in Texas. Are there any effects we might anticipate in Kelowna or the Okanagan?
Yeah. So one thing that I want to bring forth with cosmic weather is that all of these signs have elements that are associated with them. And, so fire, earth, water, air. And we see it all the time. We can see when some of these elements pick up, when there is a lot happening in the element of, say, fire. This eclipse season is really about fire and water. It's like that song, The Fire and the Flood. And April 10th, these two warriors, Mars and Saturn, coming together in Pisces, it amplifies water levels within us. So like get ready for some tears, healing tears, they're good tears, allowing your own water to flow, right? But it also amplifies the world's waters. So it could be that we expect to see some flooding, some essence of, or there being a lot of conversations about the lack of water would be another way that could play out, where we are looking at a lot of the energy being about drought. Now, I remember living up at Big White and talking to a fire chief up there who told me that when we do see flooding, it does take out the underbrush and then it's easier for a fire season. And I would definitely say that this summer it has some major fire stories for us. So again, we know that this is where we live. We know that the way we've been working with the earth has been leading us to a certain kind of story. And so how can we start changing it? How can we start talking about it more? I've had people from the fire service who are actually talking about some of this, even just associating moons with what is happening with the earth. And so the more we can talk about it, the more that I think we can innovate and work with this energy rather than against it.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. So with that all being said, we are here to support you in any way. If you have any questions or you'd like a psychic reading, you can reach out to Natasha. So her website is natasharosewood.com. And my sister and I had mentioned we run an eclipse support group. It is just a group and an app where people can talk during this time. It starts about 10 days before the full moon lunar eclipse, and it goes until just after the April 8th eclipse. And you can find out more about that at wildskysisters.ca. And with that being said, next week, Natasha is back here. She will be back from, with her tan from the sun, with her guest, Alan Green, and they're going to explore what is quantum healing and how you can change your past, which I just think is radical. And if you haven't read like Joe Dispenza stuff, there is an amazing part in his book that talks about this, how we can actually change our past. So that is one to not miss. We invite you to join in on the show so you can see that on Natasha's newsletter. You can see it on Kelowna Now's Facebook. You can also go on natasharosewood.com. And with that, I'm going to end this show. I am sending so much love out to all of you. And if you have any questions, then you can just find us and ask away.
Awesome. Thank you.
It's a new day for hope, healing, and happiness with Natasha J. Rosewood.